Hi everyone, so today I want to show you how to make, now I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, a Trifold Miura Ori card. That's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if that's right or not, but that's what I'm saying. Anyway, yeah, so Trifold Miura Ori card. So I've made a couple here. So this one was using the Bluebirds and Roses pack from Do Crafts. So as you can see, it's got this really interesting fold at the bottom and at the top, and it folds up and makes, it's quite a nice card. So that's one of them. And then I also did one using an old Do Craft pack, which is, I think it was called Moroccan Tile or something like that. Anyway, yeah, so that's that one. So as you can see, it's quite interesting the way it folds up. So that's what we're doing today. So for this card, you will need a 12 by 6 piece of card and also an 8 by 6 piece of card. Okay, so on the 12 by 6, and you're going to score at 4 inches and also at 8 inches. Okay, now before we put the scoreboard away, we're going to bring the other piece in, the 8 by 6, and the 8 by 6 we're just going to score in half at 4 inches. Okay, so now we can put the scoreboard away, because I can't do diagonal folds on a scoreboard. I have to use my cork board. I find it much easier. Excuse the big old mark on the top of it from where, I don't know what happened there. Right, so now what we want to do is this one, which is your 8 by 6, you're just going to literally fold it in half like a card blank. And we're going to come back to that later. Okay, so just fold it in half for now and just put it to one side. Right, so then this one here, which is your 12 by 6, take a pencil and a ruler, and down your 4-inch score line, you're going to measure down and mark at 2 inches. Okay, so there's my 2-inch mark. And then I'm going to do the same on the 8-inch mark, but from the bottom up instead. So I'm going to measure from the bottom of my card and come up and measure 2 inches. Okay, I'm now going to take my scoring tool and I'm going to score from that mark to the top left hand corner and from that mark to the top of the 8-inch score line. Okay, so we're going to get that on. Turn it round so I can get to it. Okay, so hopefully you can see that score line. Okay, so then we're going to do the same on here. So we're going to go from the mark to the bottom of the 4-inch score line and from the mark to the bottom right hand corner. Okay, so you should end up with that. I did a very rough kind of a diagram. So you can see the lines that I've just done. Okay, so that's your top V and there's your bottom V. Okay, so that's that. So now we're going to fold along these lines. So if we start with the straightforward folds first, start by folding them as a mountain fold. Well, for the first one, the 4-inch line, start by folding it as a mountain fold. Okay, make sure that it's nice and straight, it doesn't go off. Fold it like that, and then what we're going to do is turn it over, and then this one for now we're going to fold as a valley fold. So that's your trifold right there. Okay, so that's like your trifold card. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to now fold these so that they're mountain folds. So if you just turn it over, and if you want to, actually, it's kind of better to use a ruler and just put it up against the ruler. Just don't go too far, obviously. Just give it a bit of a coax. Same on this side. Just coax it. Once you've kind of coaxed it, what you can do is just turn it over, and you need to make sure you've really scored it well, because I don't think I've scored this well enough, but anyway, we're going to see. If you just give it a bit of a coax, and then it should, hopefully, with a bit of persuasion, fold inside itself like that, and then you can really go in and give it a good old burnish, and you can just go inside. So this crease here, you can just go inside and give that a bit of a burnish as well. Okay, so then that is that bit, the front bit done. And just really show it who's boss. It might at this point want to squiff off, so this is where you have to kind of guide it into the position it needs to be in. Okay, so that's that bit done. So now we're going to go ahead and do exactly the same with the bottom, but this time these are going to be valley folds, not mountain folds, so they're going to come in. So we're going to fold them up like this, so all the way along that line, coax them in, and again it really shows how well or not you've scored. So I haven't really pressed hard enough when I was scoring on this, so again just coax it in. And this is quite a thick card I've got here. I've got about a 300 GSM card here, so this is quite a thick card. So as soon as you've got it to do what you want it to do, give it a good old burnish like that on both sides. And then you can also go ahead and burnish the inside bits. You won't be able to see, because I'm going to have to do it with the card sort of closed. I'm just going in and just burnishing that bit there. Okay, so then that gives you your Trifold Miura Ori kind of look. Now the problem is now that does not stand up. Okay, so that's why we've got the 8x6 piece, because what's going to happen is this is going to sit behind here like that, and it's going to act, so this will act as the bit that holds up the card. Okay, so we're just not going to bother with that for a second. So now what you need to do is, in fact we will bother with that now, because we're going to need to cut a bit off this first, and we're also going to need to put the pattern paper on the bottom here. So on this one here I've got this blue on the bottom, so we're going to need to put that on before we go sticking it to the back of the card. So what we're going to need to do is, now we've cut this to be 8x6, however off this left hand side you might need to cut about 1/8 of an inch, just so that when we get to putting it behind, this bit doesn't butt up with the crease, with this crease here. Okay, before we do that though, we just need to cut the triangle out, so you can see. So as you can see, that fits fine there, but on this side, you need to cut a section. You need to cut this triangle out at the top here. So what you need to do is you take your ruler and you measure down this edge 2 inches, and I would go slightly more than 2. I would go maybe 2 1/16 or 2 1/8. I'm going to go 2 1/8. Okay, and then I'm just going to draw a line, and then you can see where I'm going to be cutting. There we go. So I'm just going to cut that whole section off, and hopefully that should, yeah, if you can see, that actually goes quite a bit lower than the top of the, if you can see, this comes slightly lower than that. If you want to, you can really, go, but I find if you give it a little bit of leeway, it's better, because then you don't have problems with folding it up. So I'm now going to cut this off. I would normally use the trimmer, but I'm going to use scissors today. Okay, so there's your 8x6 card blank. Looks a bit odd because you've got a corner cut off. But you will now find that if you put this behind here and inside that slot, inside that little crease there, this will now fit nicely behind. So hopefully you can see I've got that, you can see it at the bottom there. And then if I turn it over here so you can see the back, that, you see how there's a bit of a gap there, and then that means that I know that crease has got lots of space to move. You can take it right up to there if you want to, but it's best not to, really, and especially because I've used quite a thick card here. Probably should have used slightly thinner card. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take out the 2 cards. So you've got the 2 separate cards, and we need to put a panel in this bottom section here, so that then you will see it poking out. Now you don't need to do a whole piece, so all you're going to need are 2 pieces like that, and these measure 3 1/4 by 3 3/4. Sorry, these measure 3 3/4 by 3 inches. Okay, and we're just going to stick those in there like that. Okay, so then you end up with that. So now you can go ahead and stick that at the back of your card. So what I would do is I would probably stick your stick this piece onto the back first, and then go ahead and stick the crease bit in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue that and stick that in. And it's best to glue this card, not that, because obviously you don't know where, you know, where the line is, the fold is. Okay, so you probably saw me then, I was just wiggling it around. That's why I like to use wet glue for this bit, because you want to get it so that it lines up nicely. I've got a little bit of a gap at the top there, but that's okay. It's okay to have a bit of a, you know, it's only slightly up. I can probably eke it into place if I want to. Oh, there we go. That's a bit better. Yeah, so you just want it to be in place, as lined up as you possibly can. Obviously, it's not going to be, if you've got a thick card like I have, it's not going to be perfectly lined up because of the bulk. Look at this one, I've got a bit of a gap at the top of that one as well, and a bit of an edge, because obviously you take into consideration the crease. So once you've done that, you're then going to go ahead and glue. In fact, I would just make a little mark on the back so you know where you're gluing. Okay, you don't want to glue right to the edge because obviously part of the edge is showing. So I'm going to glue this whole section here and stick that card down. Okay, so there's the back bit done of your card. Now we just need to focus on the pattern panels. So for both of my other cards, I have used 2 different patterns for the front panel. So I've used a pattern for the front and the back, and then a different one for the middle. Okay, so that's what I've done again on this one. So on this one I'm using these lovely daisy patterns, plus a red flower and another daisy, and these were from a magazine. I'm not sure which magazine it was. No, not sure, but anyway, this was the pack that came in it, so I went and bought that because I quite like the hexagons, and it comes with papers and stitch dies and stitch stamps and templates and things. So I've cut these out of those papers. Now you'll notice there's a bit of a gold edge, and I haven't used a gold mat. The reason I haven't used it is because you just end up with too many layers, and trying to cut the triangles is just a pain. So I've actually gone and I've just heat embossed the edges. I am going to have to do another edge in a minute because I've just realised that obviously you've got this diagonal edge. So I've heat embossed all around here nicely, and also this bit here, but I haven't done the diagonal, so I will have to do the diagonal as well. So I will do that off camera probably. So yeah, so that's that. So now we're going to go ahead and cut them to size. Now you can either measure and cut, or you can just lay them on, and that's what I find the best thing to do. So if I lay this on now like this, and I'm going to get my ruler, I can see where that is, I can see roughly where my border needs to be. It needs to be about there, and I'm just going to draw it in, and I'm going to cut it by hand, because I find otherwise if I measure I could well end up with something not quite right. Okay, so that now fits really nicely onto the front there. As I said, I need to gold edge that bit there. And then this one will go in here. However, you will need to trim more off it, because obviously this panel was quite large. So I'm going to have to trim a bit more off in order to make that fit. So I'm going to do the same thing that I just did. I'm just going to turn it around so I can actually get to it. So just going to put that on like that so it's nice and set, layered up there. I'm going to take my ruler, work out where it needs to be. About there, that kind of runs in parallel with the line. Draw another line and cut that little extra bit off. There we go, and then that will fit nicely in there. Right, so that's the front done. So now I need to go ahead and do the inside. Now a little trick, because you've already done this one, the first one, you know what, and the thing is that is going to be exactly the same as that, it should be. Obviously you've got the bottom bit to deal with, but if you want to deal with the top bit, I would take your previous squares, so this is the square I'm going to use, lay them pattern to pattern, like that. In fact, actually, let's lay them back to back. Let's lay them back to back, like that, and I'm just literally going to draw down here, and then I know where I need to cut for that, and then I'm going to bring this piece in, put that on the top, again, back to back, so that both the patterns are out, and then I'm going to draw down that cuttage there, like that, and then I know where I need to cut for that top corner. Okay, so then that will fit this bit and this bit here. So all I need to do now is sort out this bottom section. So again, I'm going to do exactly what we just did. I'm going to lay this out nice and flat, fit this on so that it fits, and then I'm going to cut. I'm going to draw a line here and cut it to fit. So normally, I would normally put tape on the back of my card before I cut it. However, because I need to heat emboss these edges, that's why I haven't done it for this instance. Just make sure you don't get your pieces of paper in your corner muddled up. So I try and lay mine out on the desk below, so I know where they all fit. Okay, so that should hopefully fit in there. Yep, wonderful. Okay, and that should hopefully fit on there. Yep, slightly bigger gap than I would have, bigger border than I would have probably gone for, but that's fine. And then, as I said before, this line here is going to be the same as the one you've just done. So again, you can just take your, whatever you're putting on this back section, you can take that bit of paper, you can lay them back to back. Is that the right way up? That's the right way up. Right, lay them back to back, like this. And then cut or draw a line at the bottom. Bring your bottom triangle in. Draw a line for that one. And then cut them out, and they should be perfectly lined up with the back of your card. Right, so I'm just going to quickly go and heat emboss these edges, the diagonal edges. I will quickly show you how I do that, just in case you are not sure. Okay, so for doing the gold edges, all I did was took a Wow embossing pen and a piece of scrap card, and I've laid the card on, so there's a little bit of the board, a little bit of card showing, so that you've got basically a border, and then I'm just going to go over it with the pen. Now I've found that just running it down it is not enough. You really have to go for it and just really colour it all in. Okay, when you're happy that you've kind of coloured it all in, you can't see, so you kind of have to guess. You can then bring your scrap paper in, add your heat embossing powder, tap off the excess, and then heat it like you normally would. Okay, so there's your heat embossed edge. Okay, so that's how you do it. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and just finished off the rest of the pieces, done the edging on them. So now it's just a case of sticking them into place. So obviously there's my card, and that's where the pieces are all going to fit. So I'm going to go ahead now and just glue them all into place, and then we shall decorate the card. So once you've stuck all your bits down, you should end up with your card looking like that. Now if you wanted to, you could add some extra pattern pieces on these two triangles here, but they don't really bother me because when it's stood up, you can't really see them when it's stood up like a normal thing. So then we're going to go ahead and decorate. So I've just cut out, I cut out a large hexagon and a slightly smaller one, which is going to go in the back, which is where I'm going to write my message. You could write on the back if you wanted to as well, that's another option. Obviously that's going to be a small message, it's not going to be like, you know, heartfelt dissertation. And then on the front, we're going to have birthday wishes, and then there were some of these little hexagons that came with the actual pack, and I quite liked them, and I was wondering about having them maybe kind of stacked up in different places, or I'm not sure. So I'm going to have a bit of a think as to how I'm going to do this, and I shall come back in a minute when I've stuck it all down. Okay, so there's your finished card. So that's the front. Just went for the just for a simple birthday in the middle and the two hexagons off, and then did a little stack of 3 in the middle, and then obviously you want the back that you're going to put your greeting on. So that's obviously you could, as I said, you could write on the back. So yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed that. It is a bit more involved than maybe some cards, but it just looks stunning. And as long as you don't make it out of really thick card like I did, then you should be able to get that through the post. It's not too much bulk. Obviously I've got foam pads on this as well. I wanted to put these on foam pads, but I thought no, because it's going to be too much. So I haven't. But yeah, but hopefully you'll have a go. And as you can see, it's just a bit of a different card. I think it does really suit the mail card as well, because it's just a little bit different. So yeah, so hopefully you have a go. Hope you enjoyed today. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell because then you'll never miss a video. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.